am an American. I am American. What's up, John here, ¿Qué pasó, amigos? So this is part 2 of my illegal return to USA challenge video. The part 1 took forever to make, and this one's probably gonna be even longer because I'll be reading out of my journal that I kept while detained in Texas and California. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right to it. I've been forced to try to get back to USA illegally after my investor's visa application's been denied, and instead of my visa, I've received 10-year bar, so I couldn't return legally to USA for the next 10 years. But I still needed to get back to USA to restart my house flipping business, to start making profit again, to kind of redeem myself for my previous losses. So my first attempt to come back to USA through Canada has failed. The official reason to not allowing me to enter Canada was insufficient funds, which was really ironic because I just cashed out my last flip house and I walked away with $239,000 in cash. After being turned around back to England, I attempted to reapply for electronic travel authorization to Canada, but because of this previous entry denial, it turned out to be mission impossible. So after 4 unsuccessful attempts, I gave up on that idea, illegally crossing to USA from Canada, and started to focus on illegally crossing from Mexico. So I started my research on where and how to cross the border. I need to say that I really didn't want to do this. I've never thought I'll be ever considering something like this. I'm just a regular guy with strong morals, just hard-working man with goals and dreams. But if I wanted to get back to America and back to my life and to my house flipping business, I had to really step outside of my comfort zone and just do it. I knew I needed to get to the US-Mexican border. I needed to get back to Fayetteville, North Carolina to pick up my check for $236,000, get back to my stuff in my storage unit, including my data on my hard drives and computer. I needed to pay for my next project house and start working on it to generate a huge profit. So as I mentioned in my previous video, no matter what the result will be with the ETA to Canada, I'm gonna move out of Reading. I'm gonna quit that Tesco warehouse job. There was nothing holding me in Reading anymore because I had my funds available and I could pretty much go anywhere and do whatever I wanted to do. So I quit the job. No more Bulgarians, no more standing in the line by the time clock machine, no more harassment for not fulfilling the 100% performance, and no more cages Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta. After I quit the warehouse job, I spent all of my time the following 30 days working on that previous video, my 12 months journey, and I also try to stay on top with my physique by running and working out at nearby parkour park. At the same time, I started doing extensive research on how to safely cross the Mexican border to USA. I've done some research on YouTube, Google Maps, etc., looking for potential low-risk crossing spots. Planning this risky trip during the worst immigration crisis in recent history was really worrying me. I've been always observing the situation around the immigration issue in the news because it's been distantly concerning me as well. But what's been going on recently with dumbass Trump getting involved has been really disturbing. All the border security reinforced, border walls extended, the caravans of immigrants coming from Central America jumping over the walls in Tijuana. So much attention brought to the southern border. I've been reading about it in the news all the time. What if I get shot by some hungry headhunting rednecks or a Mexican cartel? Where the hell I'm supposed to cross the border and not die by a gun or a rattlesnake? If I'm gonna do this, I have to plan this really well to avoid getting captured by a border patrol or getting killed. I've been trying to get myself prepared for all kinds of scenarios, prepared for the worst and hoping for the best. And then one day I discovered this party on Mexican border called La Fiesta Protesta, the voices from both sides, being held in Lajitas, Texas on both banks of the Rio Grande on May 11th. This party is to kind of protest against government closing this border crossing that divided the community. This was gonna be the 7th annual event mind allowing the people waiting the Rio Grande back and forth as long as they return back to their home country by the end of the day. I was like, man, this is it. That's where I'm gonna cross the border. There was no wall, it's close to civilization. It looks doable, man. So I've been trying to come up with a strategy of how I'm actually gonna do this. There's a golf resort right at the border. It's in the Big Bend National Park area. I should be safe here. I looked up the transportation options from Chihuahua, but there was no buses coming up there, so I figured maybe I could just take a taxi or an Uber. So I looked up the Uber coverage, and yup, there was Uber available, and it would cost me around $300 to get up there from Chihuahua. Then I could either wait the Rio Grande away from the party and head straight to the golf resort, or I could just blend in with the people at the party and cross there. I still have my New Mexico driver's license valid, so I could just take advantage of it and pretend I'm an American citizen enjoying the party. Just blend in, wade the river, walk to the golf resort and get a room there. And the following morning, after the air clears out, I would continue going up north to Alpine, Texas. From there, I would get a Greyhound bus to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I would renew my driver's license, buy a van and drive to Fayetteville, North Carolina to finally get to my storage unit and start working on my next project, the White House. That was a good plan. All I needed to do now was to wait roughly 3 months till May. I started negotiating the deal with Tracy Gifford, the owner of the White House, to ultimately purchase their house that was attracting me as a magnet. As I mentioned before, this house was sitting next to the house I just sold and has been vacant for years now. I needed this house. I could do really well on it. I offered to purchase the house for $90,000 and asked agent Buddy to help me closing on this deal. In return, I offered him to list my house for sale and earn his 6% commission once it's finished. He wanted to treat this as a short sale, so he actively started participating and gathering necessary information from the owner's lender. We still had few months to work on this till I get back to Fayetteville sometimes in mid-May. By the time I would get there, it would be all ready for the closing. I would just pay for the house and could start working on it right away. Okay, so it was all kind of falling in together. I won't be crossing the border just yet. I need to be patient and wait till the right time. I will wait till May just to make sure I'm gonna cross the border safe and easy, unnoticed, blending in at the party. I only needed to figure out one more thing, and that was how to avoid getting checked by the border patrol either at the party or at the checkpoint on Route 118 further up north. Well, if there's gonna be an officer at the party and he decides to check me out, I probably won't be able to avoid it, so I will just show him my US driver's license and try to speak as American as I can so he won't recognize my accent. Suddenly I've got this idea. I should probably get a mountain bike. I could pretend I'm just an enthusiast mountain biker just riding the desert. I think this is gonna work because the mountain biking in that area is pretty popular, as I found out during my research. And then I could use the bike to ride the high desert away from the border patrol checkpoint located on Route 118 further up north. But this is about 70-mile long ride and I haven't ridden a bike for a while. I need to get back in shape now so I don't die there. Alright, so I had a plan now how to get back to USA, but what am I gonna do till May 11th? As soon as I'm done with this video, my 12-month journey, I'm gonna move to London and find some temporary job so that way I just don't keep spending my cash. There's nothing that keeps me here in Reading anymore. I'm out of here. Before I was gonna leave Reading, I asked my agent Buddy to ship me my Bank of America MasterCard so I have it with me from now on because I needed it for traveling. On February 9th, the envelope from Buddy with my Bank of America MasterCard arrived, but after opening it, I couldn't believe my eyes. Someone stole the card. I don't know what's the card good for to anyone when it's not even been activated yet. Was it stolen at the post office or at my house? I don't know. For me, it's just unnecessary complication. Now I need to have it cancelled and resent. I called the Bank of America, but I was told I can't apply for a new card because my signature is not on file. They asked me to come to the branch to sign the signature card. I told them I can't come over in person because I'm in England at the moment. But this nice lady on the phone offered to mail the signature card to the address on file. She wouldn't mail it to me directly to England though. So first it needed to get mailed to Buddy's address, then Buddy was gonna mail it to me to sign it, and then I would mail it back to the bank office somewhere in Florida, and then I could apply for a new MasterCard. So I finished the video and posted it on YouTube on February 11th. month and continued my search for a job and a place to stay in London. I even flirted with the idea to purchase an investment property in England and spent tons of time researching the properties in different areas, but I abandoned this idea because still my primary goal was to return to USA. Eventually I found this one Czech guy named Radek who's been looking for someone with driver's license to help him out with renovations, so I gave him a call. He would need me to drive him around London with his car to various projects, and he would pay me 600 British pounds per week, which was double the money I've been getting paid for the slavery job at the Tesco warehouse. So on February 28th, I moved from Reading to my new room in Walthamstow, London. This was another house shared with other people from Czechia and Slovakia through the same accommodation agency as the one in Reading. But just 3 days before I was about to leave, this thing happened. At this shared house I've been staying at in Reading, there were another number of housemates. Gals and guys from Czechia, Slovakia, maybe even some Polish as well. I don't really know how many people exactly has been living in there, but all of us been sharing the showers and toilets upstairs. The thing was that since day one, the men's room's been dirty. There was shit and toilet paper everywhere. I told myself, I'm not cleaning this mess up on the first day I moved in here. I'll just let the other guys to take care of this. So I started using the ladies' room instead. I'm not leaving any mess behind, but this one young guy, he was maybe 25 years old, kept sneaking up on me. He didn't like me using the ladies' room. He's been turning my lights off while I was taking a dump, kept telling me to stop using the ladies' room. He's been acting like he was the landlord of this house. I was like, just mind your own goddamn business, dude, and clean the men's room instead of harassing me. So 3 days before I was moving out, I was leaving the ladies' room after taking a dump again, and this dude's been sitting in the dark corner on the staircase just waiting there for me. As I walked down the stairs to my room, he got up and followed me while shouting at me, "Hey, if I'll see you using the ladies' room again, I'll fuck you up. You hear me? I'll fuck you up." I'm like, what the fuck did he just say? I'm not used to being treated like this. I don't know this guy. He doesn't know who I am either, and he keeps talking shit to me. As I was closing my room door, he kept calling me out. He was gonna fuck me up and stuff, and I swear I tried my best to just ignore it. But then the switch in my brain just flipped, and in a split of a second, I changed my mind. What the fuck is this dude doing? I'm not allowing myself getting harassed by some boy 20 years younger than me, talking shit to me like we knew each other for decades. Son, this fucking crackhead threatening me to beat me up? I could take this clown down at any time, man. I was like, you wanna jump? So let's jump, man. Let's jump, bruh. I need to mention that I haven't been in a single fight since I was 17 years old. I swear to God. That night, 26 years ago, my then girlfriend was walking me out to my dorm after a movie theater, and her ex-boyfriend attacked us in a dark alley. So I just fought as a self-defense and knocked that guy out. So basically, I've never fought even though I'm a strong man, but I'm using my strength in different ways. I'm not a violent man by any means. I hate violence of any kind. I approach this as some kind of challenge if I can really take him down, or to teach this guy a lesson to not be randomly threatening senior citizens. I mean, I got nothing to lose here. I'm leaving this place in just a few days anyway, so let's do this. If he wants to fight, let's fight. Let's give him a lesson. I'm tired of these Eastern European barbarians. In 30 years, their mentality has not evolved at all. So I opened the door again and applied a moment of surprise. He's never expected this. He probably thought I'll just let him talk shit to me. So I ran up the stairs to him, and because he was a few steps above me, plus he was taller than me, I couldn't reach his head, so I started punching him as hard as I could in his stomach. Punch, punch, punch. The fight was on. He started backing up the stairs, and I pushed him to the wall at one of the staircase landings, and I was trying to hit him in the face and stomach as many times as I could. I was throwing punches everywhere. He looked scared. I mean, he was trying to cover himself. His face looked frightened, but his survival mode turned on, and he started throwing punches at me as well. And I covered up and avoided all of his punches. He wasn't able to land a single punch. I wanted to stop this boxing match before I get hit, so I started grappling him. I started grabbing his hands, and I tried to put him in the lock. And I pushed him with my elbow down to the ground. I was pushing my elbow on his throat. He couldn't move, he couldn't breathe, and I was just holding him in there. He couldn't do anything, so basically I won. This pushing and shoving on the staircase became really dangerous. I mean, either one of us could fall down the stairs at any time and break his neck. So I had him in the lock and was pushing on his throat, and he wasn't able to get out of it. The fight was over. I thought I won. I taught him a lesson, and I didn't want to continue this fight anymore. I just wanted to go back to my room. It was over for him, so I just let him loose. But this motherfucker started attacking me again. By that time, the other people got out of their rooms. Guys and gals were trying to hold him back because he was getting really dangerous and aggressive. He was desperate and frustrated because he lost and his ego's been damaged. He wanted a revenge. His face was turning red while shouting out slurs at me and attacking me with his fists. I kept protecting myself from his attacks and not fighting back. He was unable to get his revenge because one of the girls stepped bravely in between us, and I was finally able to walk down the stairs back to my room and lock my door. But this idiot got loose again, still wanting a rematch, calling me out to continue the fight outside. He wouldn't fucking quit. He ran down the stairs and kicked my room door open, and the fight was on again. Throwing punches, pushing and shoving, grappling and everything. I've had 2 open jugs of water sitting on the floor I've been using as a weight for my workout, and the jugs got knocked over during the fight, spilling the water on the vinyl flooring, making it really slippery. This became a really dangerous situation, turning into real chaos. Fortunately, I managed to quickly hide my new computer under the mattress before he kicked the door open so it wouldn't get damaged. I was afraid he might want to take it and break it. This situation was getting out of control. The other people rushed down to my room as well. Lots of shouting, stop it, leave him alone, all the people getting involved, lots of shoving and pushing and the slippery floor. I wasn't afraid of me getting beaten, but I was more afraid that someone might slip and fall and crack that skull open on the countertop corner. So with all these people around me, I was trying to hold tight and stay steady so nobody slip and falls on that slippery floor, and I didn't want to have nothing to do with explaining to the Sherlock Holmes or the Scotland Yard what happened in here. This could get really ugly. All these thoughts were going through my mind, including hoping that we won't slip and fall on that bed and fuck up my brand new computer. So this dude was trying to provoke the fight over and over. I was just trying to hold on to him so we won't fall down, while the other people were trying to separate us. Eventually he got tired and they dragged him out of the room while he was still calling me out to go fight outside. The lock broke to a million pieces scattered all over the floor. As I was cleaning up, I heard footsteps on the staircase again. I couldn't believe he came back down to my room and started talking shit again. He kept bitch slapping me and I was just trying to avoid it and not fighting back so the fight doesn't get ugly again. Not that I was tired, but because of the safety issue and I didn't want anyone to call the police or pull out a knife or whatever. I just wanted to clean this mess up and go to sleep. So after a while he calmed down and realized that this is it. This is not going anywhere. No more fighting. He finally gave up and left with damaged ego. Because I couldn't lock the door anymore, I decided it'd be for the best if I braced myself in the room for the night. I slid my bed between the door and the fridge just to make sure he can't come back to my room at night while I'm sleeping and attack me. It was about 1 a.m. I turned the lights off and lied down, and guess what? He really did come down again, trying to push the door open. When he realized it's blocked, he punched it a couple times, begging me to open it. You scared now, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, I'm scared, man, go to sleep. He's like, don't be scared, I'm not gonna hurt you. No fighting, just open the door. Fuck it, I'm sleeping, leave me alone, man. I guess the girls told him to go apologize to me, but I didn't care. So this was my only fight in 26 years, and it was awesome. So if anyone ever wants to fight me again, better be careful what you wish for. I might fight back to defend my pride. Next couple of days I couldn't go anywhere because I couldn't lock the door. The Slovakian dude came visit me to apologize and to check the door damage, offering repairing it. On February 28th, I just disappeared. So this was my new room all the way up in the attic of yet another shared house. The access staircase was so narrow and steep that I barely fit in. Very uncomfortable access to that room, but I didn't mind because I knew I was gonna be here for only a couple of months before I head out to Mexico, so I didn't want to be wasting any more time by searching for a better room in the same price range of about 100 British pounds per week. The kitchen had 2 fridges and there were 2 decent and clean bathrooms, so this will do. I was gonna start the job the following Monday on March 4th, so I had enough time during the weekend to settle down. I needed a bike so I quickly bought one off of Gumtree.com, just some used specialized hybrid bike in pretty good shape that I negotiated down to 180 pounds. I decided I'll be riding this bike to work instead of using the public transit, which I honestly hate using. I also found a nearby park with some outdoor exercise equipment and a pull-up bar. Good enough for now. Okay, time to go to work again. My new boss lived in North Finchley, which was about 40-minute bike ride from Walthamstow. Just a little warm up before the actual work. I approached it as a part of my training for the Texas desert. So I've been riding my bike to his place Monday through Friday and drove his car from there to various job locations or shopping for supplies. My new boss was 53 years old man running his own little renovation gig, and he's never had a driver's license in his entire life, which was pretty weird to me. How could he manage a handyman company with no driver's license? I don't understand. But it didn't matter to me because the money he would pay me was good enough. He paid me 120 quid per day no matter how many hours I actually worked. The work was so easy. Most of the days we worked only 4 hours. We spent time by driving in traffic and usually started working at about 10 a.m. and been done by 3 p.m., which included 1 hour lunch break. It kind of worked out for me because I didn't get much tired. Plus I got to know London and learned driving at the left side of the road, which I thought is gonna be much harder, and I've been honestly trying to avoid it, but I got used to it pretty quickly. Just sometimes when I didn't focus at 100%, I would turn into the wrong direction. On one occasion, I rubbed one of the front wheels against the curb, but other than that, I had no major problem with driving around London and shifting the stick while juggling the turn signals at the same time with my left hand. So by doing this job, I killed following 6 weeks. I worked at a few different projects with my new boss Radek, apartments or flats as they call it in England, in different parts of the city. My first job was to replace the ceramic sink. Then we started demolition and installing soundproof ceiling in one place or building a box around pipes in another place. My last job was installing laminate flooring, recessed lights, and adjusting the door. The money I made I spent instantly on my trip to Mexico preparations. During this time I trained hard on the bike. I planned some courses in the English country north of London, 80-kilometer course and even 120-kilometer course. It was pretty hard in the beginning, but I managed. I even joined local gym called The Gym in Walthamstow because the outdoor gym I've been using kept getting occupied by little children and their mothers, and I had not much room left for my routine. I stacked on nutrition supplies, proteins and vitamins. I had my computer fixed as I mentioned in my previous video. I bought a backpack and extra water bottles. I wanted to be 100% ready for my trip to USA through Mexico. Now, because I wanted to document my journey through Texas on a video, I decided to purchase a drone and started learning flying with it. This DJI Mavic 2 Pro drone is a piece of art. My first flight. Even a total drone dummy as me can learn flying with it in just a few minutes. It has its own artificial intelligence. It avoids obstacles, it tracks your movements, it lands itself to where it launched from. I was amazed by it so much that I bought extra accessory kit including 2 spare batteries, car charger, propellers, nice carrying bag and more. I learned how to fly the drone over Walthamstow, London, and I almost lost it. I freaked out a bit when I lost the signal, and I didn't know yet that the drone is able to return back on its own when the signal's lost. The birds started attacking it and I thought it will crash down on the road or on top of the house. So I practiced flying some more in nearby park and also testing the active track while biking in the country. That's what I needed to get a hang of the most because I was gonna use this feature while getting away from the Border Patrol checkpoint in Texas. I also purchased the new GoPro Hero 7 Black and tested it out by recording the time warps while driving to work or my bike trips around London. Finally, on March 25th, I received my Bank of America card that I had to reorder after the first one's been stolen. I wanted to take advantage of me being in England, so I said to myself I had to do at least one trip to the coast and take some pictures and videos. I'll be leaving back to USA soon and I don't know if I'll ever be able to return back here. So So the last weekend of March, I got on a train and went to Brighton, where I spent a night at a bed and breakfast with the tiniest room I've ever seen. I flew my new drone over the beach and the Brighton Pier, then I took a bus to the White Cliffs at the Beachy Head Lighthouse and the Beltooth Lighthouse, and I put together this clip that's also featured on my YouTube channel. The main purpose of this trip was to get used to operating the drone, and on top of that, I realized its flying limits in strong winds. Sometimes during my stay in London, I resurrected the idea I scratched off before to travel Europe before I head out overseas. In case I'll make it back to USA, I won't be able to travel outside the country until 2027, and I wanted to visit few places. So I planned this quick trip to Italy, Spain, Greece, Portugal and France. I started booking the plane tickets and hotels step by step till I had it about 80% ready by the time I was leaving. I was about to execute on my own Brexit for the second time. I set the takeoff date on April 19th. Today is April 10th, 2019. Till this point, I didn't have any privacy to record anything. So this is gonna be probably my last video recorded in England, because I'm finally heading out to Mexico. But before I go to Mexico, I wanted to travel a little bit around Europe to visit a few places like Rome, Milan, Athens, Barcelona, because once I return back to United States, I won't be able to do any sort of traveling for quite some time. So I just wanted to see a few places before I leave. I just want to, take some, vacation and enjoy myself a little bit and prepare myself mentally for the Mexican border crossing, because this was like really one of the biggest decisions in my life to take all this risk. It's very well possible that I might get into some kind of trouble in Mexico, possibly life-threatening situation, I don't know. In case that happens and I'm gonna end up in hands of drug dealers or Mexican militia, or if I get caught at the border and I'm gonna get locked up and killed in Mexican prison or whatever. For all these reasons, I want to travel a little bit before I go. So I planned this trip. First, I'll do the quick trip around Europe, and then on May 3rd, I'll fly over to Mexico and cross the border. So that's exactly what I did. It worked out perfectly. The weekend had 2 extra days off because of the Easter holidays. So on Friday, April 19th, I didn't need to go to work and had plenty of time to pack up my stuff and sell my bike for the same price I bought it for. So the day has come. It's Friday morning, and today's the day when I'm bailing out of England. My second Brexit and my second attempt to return back to USA. Illegally, of course. I'm leaving London for good. This is it. On April 19th, I turned on my GoPro and basically had it running the entire time throughout my journey. I recorded my every move. I also launched my drone at all of my destinations except Paris. But many of my videos got corrupted and deleted later on in Mexico during transferring them from computer to memory cards due to faulty card reader. My first stop was Venice, Italy, where I spent a couple of nights. I had a hotel with a balcony near the center, which was very convenient for drone takeoff. When I was planning this trip, I was always taking in consideration the locations of my accommodation for safe drone launching. So I've been searching for rooms with terraces or balconies. This is my first morning in Venice. I was trying to decide if I should fly my drone. I see these crazy birds. The birds always go crazy when there's a drone in the air. Indeed, someone is already flying a drone. I'm gonna give it a go. This is gonna be fun. Here in Venice, I was able to launch my drone from the balcony, but then I was unable to land it because the sensors were detecting some obstacles and I had to run down the stairs and land it on the pavement at front of the hotel. I was afraid someone will report me, but fortunately I got away with it and got some decent shots. I also walked around the endless canals and tourist attractions and recorded all of it on my GoPro. And I took this wonderful boat trip to the Murano Island as well. I strolled around a bit and got a little sunburn. So I enjoyed the food and the atmosphere of Venice for a couple of days, and then early in the morning on Sunday, April 21st, I flew over to Rome. I walked through the streets around all the major historic sites. The Colosseum, Altar of the Fatherland, Pantheon, Piazza Navona, Castel San Angelo, St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, Trevi Fountain, Spanish Steps. I had a room with balcony again in centrally located Hotel King that also featured a terrace on top of the roof. Nobody's been using the terrace, so I launched my drone from up there in privacy and recorded some nice shots of Rome. Because of the elevation and central location of the hotel, I had a good reception and was able to fly very far in both directions from Colosseum all the way to Vatican.
So this was great. These goddamn seagulls been attacking my drone. Man, get the hell out of here.
My marathon continues.
Arrivederci, Roma.
I stayed only one night in Rome and I had to get up early in the morning again to catch another flight. On April 22nd, I flew over to Athens, Greece. I had a hotel room with balcony again, but I had no good drone launching conditions, so I climbed up the Lycabettus hill and launched the drone from up there. I needed to be extra careful to not get spotted and reported by some honest citizens, so I took off from this little secluded spot under the hilltop. Thanks to being this high above Athens, I had a clear line of reception and I could fly anywhere I wanted to, except the geofencing wouldn't allow me to fly over the Panathenaic Stadium. I also walked to Acropolis, Temple of Zeus, Panathenaic Stadium, Monastiraki Square, and I had some sausages at the Take on Grill House. I didn't get much sleep again because I had another early morning flight to catch. This time to Santorini, Greece, where I was gonna stay for 2 nights, but I only stayed 1 night because of my booking mix-up. But even despite that, I had almost 2 full days to enjoy the island, so I got to see plenty. I stayed at Artemis Villas in Imerovigli with an amazing view from my room balcony at the Sea of Crete and the Scaros Rock. Perfect spot to relax a bit and do my laundry. I drove the rental car all over the island and launched the drone a few times from different locations. Despite the super windy conditions, I got some decent shots of the ancient Thera, Kumari Beach, Oya, etc. The weather was nice and the island was amazing with all the white buildings and the blue dome roofs. I walked through the streets of Oya and Thera. I even climbed the 1000 steps down to the Scaros Rock and back up. I ate some awesome meals, huge breakfast. It felt like I was having my own honeymoon. I definitely want to come back here one day with my future fiancée for a real honeymoon. On April 24th, I flew over to Bari, Italy, which was unplanned stop due to that booking mix-up I mentioned. In Bari, originally, I was only supposed to have overlay, but I ended up staying overnight instead. In the end, I didn't regret it. I almost had no room to stay because I arrived really late that night, way past the check-in hours. But luckily, I got a hold of the Airbnb host and he let me in my room at the Torre Tresca bed and breakfast. The breakfast was served at a nearby coffee shop. I walked through the narrow streets of Bari that smells after fresh laundry everywhere. I launched my drone off the coast and got some nice aerial shots. Here in Bari, I started to realize that I won't be able to upload all of my photos and videos to my iCloud storage before I reach the Mexican border just by using the slow hotel's Wi-Fi connections. I was running out of storage on my computer and I needed to keep up with offloading the data because I didn't want to have any trace of me being in Europe in case I get my computer search at the US-Mexican border. So I visited a Vodafone store and bought a couple of data SIM cards and a wireless modem. I was told by the lady at the Vodafone that the SIM cards with the 200 gigabytes of data I bought are going to work in the entire European Union. Then on Thursday, April 25th, I flew over to the city of Milan. I stayed 2 nights in Milan at luxurious hotel Uptown Palace. I was trying to stay on top with uploading my files to iCloud, but I was able to upload only a small portion of it. The wireless data I purchased didn't work as fast as they were supposed to. Been using a rental bike to get around town because I was getting tired of walking long distances. My feet hurt and my back was killing me. I launched from Parco Sempione and flew over the Sforzesco Castello. I was able to fly over the Duomo and Galleria Vittorio, but it was really windy and the gimbal motor was getting upset all the time in that wind. I had to be really careful to not get caught. The park security vehicles were monitoring the area all the time, so I was trying to get away from their eyes. On Saturday, April 27th, I had to get up really early in the morning again and flew over to Barcelona. I stayed at Airbnb penthouse room that had a private rooftop terrace again with a view at La Sagrada Familia. I needed a private spot for drone launching, and this room seemed adequate for the price.
Barcelona, here we go. I will fly over La Sagrada Familia. Basically, I want to get behind it. I want to make it quick.
Thanks to having the private terrace again, I was able to launch the drone a few times. I flew over La Sagrada Familia unfinished towers and got some insane views that not many tourists can get. I could see the construction progress, and I'm pretty sure this video might have some historical value. I even launched a drone at night to get some night shots. I rented a bike to get around Barcelona as well. I rode to La Playa Barceloneta and worked out a little bit at the street workout gym. Man, I had not worked out for quite some time now and felt pretty rusted, not being able to do my usual handstand workout routine. The next morning I had a breakfast at popular Benedict Barcelona and I went to the Gaudi Park, but it was sold out for a few days ahead, so I wasn't able to get in. While I was in Barcelona, I realized that the SIM cards I purchased in Italy do not work here, even though I've been told they will work anywhere in European Union. Spanish Vodafone has nothing to do with Italian Vodafone, and I have to call the Italian customer support line. But they didn't have English language menu options, so I had to ask the host guys for help. They did speak some Italian, but were not much help anyway. I left Barcelona with this issue unresolved. I paid 200 euros for data I'm not able to use, and I really needed to offload my computer. So the first thing I needed to take care of when I arrived in Mallorca was the Vodafone issue. In the evening of April 28th, I arrived at La Moraleja boutique hotel in Cala San Vicente, and I asked the receptionist if she spoke Italian, that I needed help with this Italian Vodafone. She didn't speak Italian, but fortunately enough, there was a guy in the kitchen who spoke Italian fluently. So we dialed the Italian Vodafone customer service to have them fix my data problem so I can use them in the whole Europe as I've been told. But before we could get anything solved, the lady on the phone said she needs to go home because it's the end of the business hours, and she hung up. I quickly realized I won't be able to use the data I paid for anywhere else but in Italy. So I just gave up wasting my precious time on this issue and just enjoyed the rest of my stay.
There's a beach. I'm probably the only guest at this hotel, which is great. I don't mind. I totally appreciate this fucking privacy. I won't be staying much here at this hotel anyway.
I found co-working shared office space in Palma de Mallorca and drove there to hook up my computer to upload my files to iCloud using their fast fiber optic internet connection. But then when I came back after a whole day, I realized my computer's been disconnected from the internet for some reason and uploaded only few files. 20 euros wasted, and I've not been in a mood for arguing about getting a refund. I just wanted to enjoy my European trip before I head out to Mexico and back to USA. So I drove the rental car all around the Mallorca island. I stopped by Valdemosa Old Town. I went to Cape Fermenter Lighthouse. Of course, I had my GoPro rolling all the time and I flew my drone over all these places, recording some nice aerial footage. When in Mallorca, I received an email from the bike rental company in Barcelona requesting me to return the bike back to the bike stand, informing me that my bill is now 200 euros. I was like, what the hell? I did log the bike on the sidewalk by the house. Why they would be charging me this much money? It turned out that the bike kept charging me the rent because I didn't return it back to the bike stand. You know, all these bike sharing companies have different systems. Some of the bikes you can just leave anywhere, while the others need to be returned back to the dedicated bike stand or just a regular bike stand. So I called the bike company customer support trying to explain my confusion, and fortunately the girl on the phone was very helpful and refunded the 200 euros charge. On Tuesday the April 30th, I flew over to Ibiza. The next day I woke up to a beautiful morning and celebrated my 44th birthday at the Ibiza Marina. I took an advantage of the sleepy tourists not occupying the area in the early morning yet and did some handstand push-ups. I had a hotel with a terrace Paris again, right there by the marina. I even had this view at the Ibiza castle from my shower window. Perfect conditions for drone launching. So I just turned 44 and in just a couple of nights I'll be flying over to Mexico and this European vacation will be over. I needed to stay on top of uploading my files into iCloud storage, so I located yet another co-working space with faster upload speeds. I paid a fee of 20 euros again to leave my computer in the office running a whole day uploading files while I was vacationing. But it didn't make much difference in the uploaded data volume. I started realizing that most likely I won't be able to upload everything and I'll need to find another solution for offloading my laptop. On May 2nd, I flew over to Lisbon, Portugal. I had an Airbnb room at the historic old town and wasn't even able to upload any files because the Wi-Fi didn't work.
It's about 8:30 in the evening. I gotta get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get on a plane to Paris.
So basically in Lisbon, I just crashed early because of my early morning flight to my last European destination, Paris. I managed to do one drone flyover above Lisbon, but unfortunately this video is one of those that's been corrupted. Paris was the only city I didn't get to fly my drone. I wanted to fly over the Notre Dame that just burned down 2 weeks prior, but there was just too much activity everywhere and my time was limited. I couldn't find a drone launching spot secluded enough away from all that traffic, so I just gave up on that idea. I used yet another rental bike to get around the city and I walked around the famous Eiffel Tower. These African refugees keep occupying the surrounding area by the entrances, harassing the tourists, trying to sell them the souvenirs. I'm just wondering why the government allows this to keep happening. So this was it for my Euro trip.
This is the tiniest elevator I've ever seen. There's like literally no room. My arm is touching the door and the other arm is touching the mirror. The Eiffel Tower, sparkling, beautiful.
I was exhausted because of lack of sleep thanks to all these early morning flights and strolling around cities, but I was happy that I finally done some traveling other than for work. I recorded a bunch of videos that I was gonna edit later after I get back home to Fayetteville. I'm on my way to Mexico now and there's no way back. Now I need to get some rest and get mentally prepared for the border crossing. Okay, now I'm gonna have to cut this video short right here because of a couple of reasons. The first reason is that thanks to all these added videos to the timeline, the iMovie library has been taking all the hard drive space on my laptop and I'm being forced to use the external hard drive to store the library instead, which makes it lagging so much that at this pace I'll never be able to finish the rest of the video. The second reason is that after 3.5 months of waiting, I finally took over my next project house and I'm starting getting busy with that. I have a house! Today is November 5th, 2019. I am on my way to Register of Deeds to pick up my deed for my new house. So it's been 3.5 months since the day I signed the contract and put down a deposit on this house. From this day on, there's gonna be some changes in my life because I'm back in business, bro. I've been waiting for this day for so long. It's been exactly 4 years since I purchased my last project, so it's been like really long time. I got 4 years older. Now the circle closed and I finally have another project, so there's many question marks how this project's gonna go, if I'm gonna be able to do it with the money I have. I've done lots of research on the materials and tools and local builders and contractors and everything, so I've been busy with that. I've been also busy with putting together the second part of my illegal return to USA video, and I'm not finished with that, and because from today I'll be busy with that house and I'll be recording new videos, I don't know if I'll ever be able to finish that video. The stage of the video right now is that I finished editing my Euro trip. On May 3rd this year I flew over from Europe to Mexico, so what I'm probably gonna do, I'm gonna post this up on YouTube. I'm gonna publish this and I'm gonna finish the Mexican part later on. So instead of 2-part video, it's gonna be 3-part video, because from now on I'm a businessman again. I'm an investor, I'm a house flipper, I am no longer a fucking outcast. Lots of planning and strategy, lots of calculations, organizing people, contractors. I'm gonna be hiring my own people, a couple of guys, 2, 3, maybe 4, little crew that I'm gonna manage myself, and simultaneously I wanna, record videos and make next chapters of my life. So this is it. I'm picking up my deed today, and hopefully sometimes this week I'm gonna officially take over the property, because still I have to get together with the previous owner, officially sign a transfer papers, water meter, power meter. From today I'm starting making some phone calls, because I need to start the demo. I need to get together with the architect to put the numbers together, put all the layout together, all the heating, cooling, power, water installations, so we can apply for the building permit. But I'm not gonna be waiting for the building permit. I'm gonna start working on it right away, because I don't have time. Another 90 days for the building permit. In 90 days I can do lots of work. So something's happening. I'm constantly going that direction where I want to go, which is become a lot bigger investor than what I am. So far I have not made much money. I lost about $150,000. I need to make that money back and then start growing again. So that's my main focus. Finish this project. Is gonna be a triplex. It's gonna be 3 houses in one, pretty decent size, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartments. Hopefully everything goes well. All right, let's do this. So what I'm gonna have to do now is to add part 3 to my illegal return to USA challenge video, in which I'll cover the Mexican part of my trip, and I'll read out of my journal I kept while detained for 7 weeks in Texas and California. As for now, I already started working on my current project house. I bought a bunch of tools off Amazon, including the DeWalt 18-volt cordless framing nail gun, which I'll be using for building the wooden 2x4 frame inside this 130 years old brick house, which is gonna be interesting. I'm really curious how this project is gonna turn out. This following week, I'm meeting with my architect to finalize on all the planning and be applying for building permits shortly after. Watch me to transform this ruin into 3 beautiful houses. So that's that for now. Stay tuned for future updates. See ya!